my degree in content came when I created Double Your Dating, which was a dating advice business, right? I wrote a book of dating advice, put it online, started getting opt-in, building an opt-in email list and started building it over time. And then realized, well, I got this list going. I'm not sending them anything. And I had to start sending them newsletters. And I started experimenting with different ways of doing it. And this is probably a story for another time. But you know what? I'll tell you the kind of 2-minute version of it here. At first, when I started my email newsletter, I just took my book and I thought, well, my book's about 100 pages. I'll send 2 pages of the book per week to my newsletter list. And that'll be like 50 weeks. And then that'll be my newsletter. I'll just send them 2 pages of the book. And then if you get on my newsletter for a year, you'll have my whole book, or you could buy it for $30 or whatever it was. I was like, I think that's pretty intelligent. But then as I started sending it out, I realized, oh, 2 pages of a random book from anywhere is not that interesting for someone that just signed up for the newsletter, because if they start halfway through and, we're talking here about, I don't know, some esoteric thing about an online dating profile, it just might not be a connect for them. So then I had to start writing, individual newsletters and noticing what people were responding to. And when I started, it was literally just me sitting at a computer. So every newsletter I sent out, I saw every email that came back. I was able to answer them, which I highly recommend that everyone do that as you're building a newsletter or a channel or a following. And so I learned that the more I taught, the more valuable the content I made, the more valuable the newsletters, the more people came to my website and bought my stuff. Okay. And that was the principle that I learned from that. If the whole takeaway is the more valuable I made my newsletter, the more I really concentrated on making it very high quality and teaching good stuff, the more people came and bought my stuff, to the point where I then started teaching people this idea called move the free line, which was give away more than you think that you should, right? Because most people are kind of hiding their knowledge. They're like, okay, I don't want to give away this. I don't want to tell anybody this. It's my secret. And not realizing, no, actually, if you teach your secret thing, you're going to get more people's attention because they're going to say, oh, if that's the thing you're giving away, then how valuable must be the thing that you're selling? Okay, so does everybody understand that that's the principle? And it's the practicing of giving your best ideas away that gets you confident and gets you used to creating the content. And so the long story short there with creating my email newsletters was I got to the point where I was writing 3 of these per week. One of them would be just a dating tip where I would teach a tip for getting dates. One of them would be, I would take like a comment/question from one of my audience members, and then I would write a long response to it. That would maybe be a few, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages, and that would be a whole newsletter. And I would look deliberately for a great question, and then I would build a whole newsletter around it. And one of my newsletters was very Q&A and kind of fun style, where it would just be, we called it a mailbag, where I would drop in funny comments from readers. Sometimes I'd answer a question, I'd joke around with them. They would write in tips, and I'd just make a big giant newsletter full of all kinds of interesting stuff that, I got in the mail that week. All 3 of them worked well. And that's why I kept doing all 3 of them every week. But the point is that it was when I was writing these 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20-page newsletters multiple times a week, and I just had to do it. It was just the tasking of it. That was when I got it. That was when I kind of woke up and realized, oh, I can become comfortable doing this.